This is 7 News.
New at 10, struggling to make sense of a school year tragedy. 9 students dead, all tied to drugs.
7 News reporter Russell Haythorn found the rampant abuse of prescription drugs escalating to ecstasy, LSD, even heroin, and in a community where you might least expect it.
In Denver's Civic Center Park, no one hides it. Drug abuse is right out in the open. Here, on the other hand, it's something that lives in the shadows.
He did what they call a speedball. It's everywhere. It's heroin, it's cocaine, it's ketamine, it's all over.
Right in the Douglas County homes of moms like Chris Lazarus and Laura Couillard.
They didn't have to say anything.
Laura and her husband were on vacation in Toronto last August when their son, Chris, died from drug use.
2 Ontario provincial police officers barged into our cottage, and I knew. Sorry.
It is a very dark side to these otherwise nice, affluent communities. 9 documented teenage deaths in Douglas County this school year alone.
We found out in early November that he had been using some hard drugs for about a month.
Less than 2 months later, her 18-year-old son, Matthew, would be dead.
I walked in and I thought he was sleeping. I don't remember much. I remember screaming.
Both of these boys died at home, experimenting with some of the most dangerous drugs imaginable.
Douglas County seems to have this feeling that we are above problems like heroin.
But we discovered it's not. Just ask the high school kids themselves.
I started when I was a freshman.
Weed, X, and Coke once.
Marijuana, ecstasy, Coke, acid.
It's super easy to get drugs. I don't think they realize how big it is.
How bad is the problem in Douglas County?
You know, I never feel like it's a losing battle.
But Douglas County Student Wellness Coordinator Leslie Clemenson says it's getting worse.
The progression used to be, you know, the cigarettes, and then you go to the alcohol and maybe the marijuana, and somewhere along the lines most of the kids had some reason to stop.
At a Castleview High Drug Awareness Assembly, Clemenson explained the thrill of trying drugs morphs into addiction much quicker these days.
That opiate addiction kicks in, especially with the painkillers, and then they go to a heroin market, which is much cheaper. The drugs of now are not your drugs of even a decade ago.
For example, THC is the drug in marijuana that makes you high. Compared to a few decades ago, THC levels can now be as much as 30 times higher.
There's all kinds of nasty things that people are mixing in.
Matt Lazarus may have been a victim of that.
What your body took today can kill you tomorrow.
5 months after her son's death, Chris hasn't changed Matt's room. His bed adorned with letters, a special message board, photos.
I touch nothing. His closet is... I haven't done anything.
Both Matt and Chris Couillard loved music. Talented musicians at a young age, and both moms knew their sons were out of control when their prized instruments went missing.
And I'd ask him where things were, and there was always an excuse.
Matt had dinner with his family that night in January, then went up to his room, dropped a speedball, and died all alone. An accidental overdose from a syringe full of cocaine and heroin. Chris was also at home when he died, but with friends.
Decided that because the parents were out of town, this would be a safe time to maybe all sit together and drop LSD.
Shortly after, Chris started hallucinating, then got violent.
Out of nowhere, he just completely started losing it.
Chris's friends opted not to call 911, but instead held him down on this basement couch, a well-meaning act that turned fatal when his lungs collapsed.
He was on the floor, non-responsive. I don't think any of the kids that were here that day have anything but great regret and remorse for not calling 911.
I definitely blame myself for everything.
The issue is drugs are easy to come by.
The truth is that our kids have access.
Oh, you go to the bathroom, you can get whatever you want.
Some kids change and stop using after seeing the destruction in their friends.
I completely changed, and people always tell me that.
But not all do. So these two moms are determined to expose Douglas County's deep, dark secret.
If you have the knowledge, you might not need it for your own child. you might need it for somebody else's.
If you catch them doing drugs in their bedroom, all alone, with nobody else around, you have a serious problem.
In Castle Rock,
they tried and they died.
Russell Haythorn, 7 News.
The Douglas County School District now conducts regular education seminars, even sponsors interventions if necessary.
And Clemenson says her counterparts in Cherry Creek, Jefferson County, Arapahoe County, they are all also dealing with the same issue.